Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our talk this afternoon. So today's topic of our talk is called stress. Okay, is it good or bad for us? Okay, so I'm the speaker for today. Just some notes before we start. Okay, so when you are, if you guys are just able to just mute your microphone. So unless you have questions, then you unmute yourself. You can unmute your mic when you ask questions at the end of the session, or you can type questions into the chat box that I can look at. I can look at also lah. Turn on the video if possible, and then just to inform all of you that this session is recorded on the Radin Mas Silver Click Facebook. Okay, so this is your speaker for today. My name is Jing Yu. So I'm from the CREST program at NTUC Health Taman Jurong Center. So for myself, I have 9 years of experience working with this center, providing care to vulnerable and well seniors. So for me, I'm specialized in social work lah. Okay. Okay, so today's information that is shared with you guys through this session today is mainly for informational purposes only. Okay, should not be considered as medical advice. So if you have any medical doubts, any medical related questions, it's always best to consult the doctors if there are any health concerns about your specific condition. That is if I'm unable to provide any answers that can satisfy your curiosity. Okay, so just to bring your focus to today's news, okay, according to the Straits Times, okay, a study has found that actually Singapore, right, we spend quite a bit of money, about 3.1 billion, okay, or 18% of its total healthcare expenditure on stress-related illnesses annually. Okay, so this puts the nation's proportion of expenditure on stress-related illnesses second highest out of the 9 regions studied in the report. So coming just 0.8% behind Australia's 18.8%. Okay, so Australia is so big, right? And then for us, I mean, a way smaller country, the amount that we spend on money is the amount of money that we spend on, stress-related illnesses is actually comparable to those bigger, much bigger countries. So the other 7 regions are Hong Kong, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, UAE, UK, and the United States. Okay, so it's like things like UK and United States. These countries are way much bigger, and yet our expenditure is also comparable to theirs. Okay, so this is an article by Today newspaper. So an IMH study found that actually COVID-19 had taken a significant toll on the mental well-being of Singaporeans. Okay, so which basically means that COVID-19 had stressed out many people due to various reasons. It could be the loss of job, retrenchment, unable to work due to different arrangements, things like that. Okay, so one illness, one virus can actually cause a lot of stress. Okay, so the study of more than 1,000 people found that 8.7% met the criteria for clinical depression. Okay, so 9.4% met the criteria for clinical anxiety, which means basically out of 1,000 people, you are looking at about 80 of them who can actually be diagnosed for clinical depression, and about 90 of them can be diagnosed with anxiety. And then you're looking about 1 in 20 people had suicidal thoughts in the last 2 weeks before being interviewed. Okay, so this is quite a huge amount and a huge increase from the past few years. Okay, then as well, a study to assess the psychological impact of COVID-19 in Singapore has found that nearly 1 in 10 respondents meet the criteria for mild to severe stress caused by factors such as financial fears over the pandemic and worries that loved ones could be infected, right? So, various reasons such as losing their job during the pandemic, or that, people around them, especially their old elderly seniors, the old family members could be affected by COVID-19, all lead to, significant stress factors. Okay, so that brings us to today's focus. So with all this huge and large amount of stress in the world, right, especially in our country as well, so we want to talk and share a bit more about, stress itself. Okay, what is stress? I'm sure you guys are all familiar already. Stress affects all of us, regardless of the age we are, whether you are a young student, maybe not a young baby because you're not so aware yet, but as a young child, as a young student, as a working adult, or even as a senior citizen. Okay, stress affects all of us. So we all know that actually stress is mostly bad, but the question we want to address today is, so is stress actually good or bad, and can it actually be good as well? Okay, so when we are stressed, we also want to be able to identify what are the signs of stress. Okay, because it is possible that some people are stressed without knowing that they are stressed. So what are the impacts and some signs of stress? Okay, and knowing that stress affects everyone, how then can we manage our own stress levels effectively? Okay, so these are the questions that we hope to address today in today's talk. Okay, so what is stress? Okay, we go by A, B, C, D. Okay, there are 4 different categories. Okay, so these are 4 questions. Okay, whether is it do you think that it's A, it's when we feel under pressure? Okay, or how about B, it's when we don't feel in control? Or is it possibly C, it's when we are struggling to cope with things? Or is it D, all of the above? Okay, so you can give it a think for about 5 seconds. Is it A, B, C, or D? Okay.
D.
A, you feel that it's A,
D. No, D. D.
B,
D.
B. When you don't,
D.
when you feel that.
The last one.
Oh, all of D, all of the above.
Yes.
Okay, so that's your answer, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's correct. Okay, let me see. I see one more. Okay, D also. Daisy also says D. Correct. Okay, so you're right. Okay, Christina and Daisy, you're right to say that it's D. It's all of the above. So stress is when we feel under pressure. Stress is when we don't feel in control, and it's also when we are struggling to cope with things. So it's an addition of everything together. So you guys, you both got it right. Okay, so it sounds like you guys are quite familiar with stress, Okay, let's move on. Okay, so stress itself is actually a physical, mental, or emotional tension you feel. So stress is not just mental. Sometimes we all think that stress is all in the mind, but it can also manifest itself in physical forms. Okay, so it can either be physical, mental, or emotions as well. Okay, you feel when you're dealing with change, or your body's response to change. Okay, so but one thing to note is that okay, this quote by Maureen Killoran. Okay, stress is not what happens to us, it's our response to what happens. Okay, and response is something that we can choose. Okay, so this is the reason why while each of us when faced with a same problem can react differently, and the way we see things, the way we interpret this problem, right, will determine how much stress it brings to us. So likely, if you tend to be more open-minded, you tend to be able to see from another perspective. The same problem might not affect you as much as it might affect another person who is more fixated on the negative part of it. Okay, so the summary is that the same problem can affect all of us differently depending on how we look at it, from which angle we look at it. Okay. Okay, so now is stress itself good or bad? Okay, so what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that there's only bad stress, or is there also good stress?
For myself, I think stress is bad, but sometimes because of stress, I do what I should do.
You do what you should do, So you like what? Like what? You have an example?
Like some housework have to do, but lazy to do. But after some time, feel stressed. So
you do lah.
Yes. But normally, I think stress is not good. Feel very unhappy lah. Feel the pressure, tension.
Correct. So you're right. So Christina, thank you for sharing, Christina, and thank you for Daisy as well for typing in the chat box. So in general, I think most people relate to stress as something bad, right? Something very negative, because it all makes us feel very tensed up, very emotional, and of course very sometimes can cause a headache and things like that. So it's a lot of negative connotation and a lot of negative connections lah. But like what Christina mentioned also, stress can also be used for good purposes as well. So it's like, like the example that she brought up, she's supposed to, so the house is just like that, but then, there's housework to be done, there's clothes to be folded and the floor to be mopped. So all these things not done make us stressed, right? Definitely we don't want to live in a dirty house. So therefore this also acts as like a push factor for us to do the things that we have to do lah. So in a way, sometimes then of course after we do already, we have a nice environment, we have a nice living space. So it's not always entirely bad lah, right? Okay. So good stress can also push us forward to learn things that we have not learned before. Like sometimes we have fear of missing out, right? Like sometimes people are doing certain things, and then after we learn that, hey, actually this auntie living in the next block, learning something new, learning how to cook a new dish. And then after that, we feel stressed, like, hey, she's learning something new, but I'm not. So, then the next day I decide to go over to the nearest community center to sign up for a cooking class, right? So through all these things, we get to learn new things along the way. So I guess stress is not entirely bad all the way, but it does have its useful purposes sometimes. Okay. Okay, so level of stress, right? Okay, because stress is also a range of feelings. Okay, so depending on the problem, depending on the issue at hand, there are varying levels of stress. It could be you don't know what you want to eat for lunch, and then you feel very stressed, right? Because sometimes I do feel like that sometimes. Like I think about, hey, what should I eat? I don't know what to eat. The food, the kopitiam, then nothing nice to eat. Then I stress. I don't know what to eat because I'm slowly becoming hungry, but I can't make up my mind. But of course, so these are all small little stress, quite low stress levels, but it does cause some stress in me. Then of course it can go up to way higher levels. So like maybe for example, if let's say I lose my job during COVID-19, so then my stress levels will probably be very high because I'll be thinking to myself, the lack of a job, how am I supposed to pay my own bills? How am I supposed to feed my own family? Things like that. So definitely all these stress levels are even way higher than the levels that I have when not being able to decide what I want to eat for my next meal. So of course we look at 3 different levels here. Okay, so we have eustress, okay, which is positive stress, the stress that helps us to improve ourselves. Okay, then of course the next one would be the stress that we're also familiar with, right? The negative stress, okay, which causes feelings of anxiety or pressure. Okay, make us feel very kanchiong, make us feel very having a headache, but no choice because sometimes we still have to do it against our own will. So this is the second level. And of course, we have the higher level called distress. Okay, so this is when, like, you see this person in the black suit crying because his stock market crash. Like people buy cryptocurrency and then suddenly lose a lot of money, right? They probably fall into this category of distress. Okay, which basically means extreme anxiety, sorrow, or pain. Okay, so we have these 3 levels. But of course, stress is a normal feeling. It's just which state we are in as we go along. Okay, so we come to the first eustress first, okay, which is healthy positive stress. So what's the definition of eustress? Okay, a positive form of stress having a beneficial effect on health, motivation, performance, and emotional well-being. Okay, so it could be simple things like for example, if you look at healthy living, healthy eating nowadays, right? And then you see the healthier symbol everywhere, and then people all around you are also eating healthy, or buying products that have a healthier logo on it. So you see everyone doing the same thing, you definitely feel in a way pressured, right, to do the same as them. I mean, of course, we can always have a fast food meal every now and then, but more or less, when you see people doing certain things, especially if your own circle of friends, they're all choosing to eat healthy, right? Definitely, there will be some form of a push factor and a form of stress for you to want to conform to the group. So this could be what we are talking about, which is eustress. Okay, so it's stress that pushes you towards doing more healthy as well as positive things. Okay, and of course, you shouldn't be feeling very negative, like it shouldn't be just because I have to eat healthy, then you start crying for every meal, It should be a healthy one, whereby you consciously make the decision to, based on what you observe and what you see around you. Okay, so it shouldn't have any negative connotation attached to it, Okay, so the negative one is the next one. Okay, wait. So okay, this one is, there's no such thing as no stress, regardless of which age or where we are at. Stress is always around us. Like even for me now, when I'm giving this talk, I'm also under stress. Maybe you guys trying to listen to me are also very stressed. Maybe they're trying to understand what I'm talking about. But if I'm talking too fast, then just feel free to let me know, okay? So I can talk a bit slower. So no matter what we are doing, there will always be stress. Like probably, before entering this talk, you were probably maybe trying to find where's the Zoom link. So if you cannot find and it's almost 2 p.m., it might have also caused some stress within you, right? Okay, so possible occurrences of, no stress, will be like bored and low motivation, life feels stagnant and unproductive. So do we want to have no stress? Probably not, okay? Because if you have no stress in your life, it means that you feel that, life feels stagnant and then you have been unproductive. So this is especially common for the elderly people, okay? Because elderly people, they retired, their children all grown up. So a lot of times they find themselves with, due to limitations and whatnot. So there's also a range of what they can do, at home based on what their own interests are. So we do have quite a significant number of seniors. They will just tell me, I got nothing to do, I'm old, can't do anything, every day just sit at home, watch TV. But in doing so, right, because they are not doing anything, so probably because of this, then it causes them to feel stagnant in their life, Okay, so we always want to have some form of stress in our life because it ensures that we keep on going and keep on learning, Okay, a little stress is healthy. It's healthy for all of us. That's the point I'm trying to bring across today. Okay, so distress is the unhealthy stress. Okay, this is the really extreme, the next extreme level from the positive one, from eustress. So distress is basically extreme fear and anxiety. Okay, people with distress usually feel worried and uptight, feel exhausted, feeling of discomfort, and then usually people with such high stress levels tend to fall sick very easily. Okay, and lower performance level. So don't be surprised. Stress can really cause our immune system to degenerate, and make us fall sick a lot easier. So if you're always in a constant state of distress, then you will find that your health will also tend to not be very good, right? Okay, so knowing the various levels of stress, right, we want to know how our stresses are like. Okay, what kind of stresses are there in our environment? Okay, so we can classify our type of stresses according to whether they are external, based on the environment, based on outside, based on other people, or whether they come from our internal, so which is like our own perspectives, our own opinion on life, our own personality, right? Okay, so when we look at external stresses, what do we look at? We look at major life changes, whether is it a change of job, or whether are we transiting from one stage of life to another, from the workforce to being a retired person. Okay, whether is it a toxic environment, sometimes the workplaces can be very toxic, sometimes even family, at home can also be a toxic environment, especially when we talk about family abuse and things like that. Or if you succumb to an injury or an illness, okay, probably due to accidents and whatnot. Okay, financial stress, change of job or the loss of a job would also bring about financial stress, which is an external stressor. and pressures at work. Okay, so all these are all related to the environment, and in a large way, things that we hard for us to control, because they are linked to other people as well. So we can't really control them 100% on our own. But what we can will be the internal stresses. Okay, so internal stresses mainly come from within ourselves. We are looking at things like fear of change. Okay, especially when change job, when we change maybe relocating to another country, for example. So all these fears will also bring about stress in ourselves. Okay, having high expectations would also cause stress. So for example, having high expectations. So there's nothing wrong with having high expectations, but of course, if we do have high expectations, then of course there is a possibility that these expectations could fall short, right? So let's say, for example, if we expect our child to score well in the exam, and then our child comes home and tells us, mommy, daddy, I probably didn't do that well because the things I studied didn't come out. So these expectations might not be fulfilled, okay, which then causes stress within us. And then of course we have negative self-talk. So negative self-talk arises mainly a lot from our own personality. So it's more of whether you are an optimistic or a pessimistic person. Okay, so usually people who are more pessimistic tend to have more negative self-talk, which is like when faced with an issue, they will tend to tell themselves, this issue is too much for me, I can't handle it. I'm overloaded, I don't think I can do this, and then it all starts to spiral down the moment they start to tell themselves all these things. Okay. Then of course, lack of control, perceived lack of control, like the person feels that this problem is too big for them to control, like out of their capability and out of their capacity to do or resolve the issue by themselves. Okay. Either the last one would be perfectionism. Okay, so people with this tendency to, as a perfectionist, tend to be stressed about everything because there are so many things in the environment, in this world, that we can't control, right? So if you do have this perfectionist complex, then of course you also feel stressed because you can't be controlling every single thing all at once at the same time. Okay, so for this, we just have to understand that stresses come in two forms, external and the internal ones. Okay, so all this will help you to understand why you're feeling stressed next time. Okay, so we also have two main types of stress. So just now there were two sources of stress, whether external or internal. So now we have two main types of stress. Okay, so the first type is the acute stress, okay, which is a short-term stress that goes away quickly. Okay, so it occurs when you do something new or exciting. For example, you slam on the brakes or you take a roller coaster, right? Okay, so before you take a roller coaster, then while queuing up, and then you see people going, screaming, you're very kanchiong, right? So all these things are like acute stress, but it only lasts for a short while. After the event is over, the stress goes along with it. Okay, so the next one will be chronic stress. Okay, so chronic stress itself lasts for a longer period of time. Okay, could be weeks, could be months, and if it remains unresolved, it may lead to certain health problems. Okay, so chronic stress lasts for, so chronic stress is an example for, let's say you lose your job, right, and then you have difficulties finding a job within the next few months, for example. So for the next 2 or 3 months, you'll probably be feeling chronic stress, because without a job, how are you going to feed yourself and feed your family, right, if you have one? So of course, if it remains unresolved, the stress will carry on and lead to health problems. Okay. Okay, so having known the two different types of stress, right, I would like to know, how do you guys generally react to stressful situations? Okay, what's an example of a stressful situation that you can recall, the most recent one? Is there anyone?
If you don't mind, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Me again. As I listening to you, huh? I understand, sometimes why I suddenly feel anxious, like morning, if I do not know what I will do for that day, then hey, what shall I do? A bit quite sharp, no, the feeling. But when I settle down, I know what to do, to make use of my time or spend time. Then I feel release. Only just now, when I'm listening to you, I realize this is also stress actually, and also sharp up. Those just a while.
Yeah,
but
correct.
Actually, when I was listening to you, may I ask, because here most listener are quite elderly, could you please suggest for us elderly people, what can we what can we do to spend time? Actually, I go for exercise every morning. When I come back, I usually see 3-4 elderly lady talking together at a special spot. Then they told one told me because they what she said, we are elderly, like feel like boring now, loneliness. So I'm not asking for myself also. I thank God. Actually, I have relatively more activities than them. What should I suggest them, or if I can help them? Thank you.
Like, so you're asking like okay, so I go back to the first part. Like you mentioned that just now you stress, right? Because in the morning when you woke up, don't know what to do, then stress, right? That one is acute stress or chronic stress?
Acute. That's a word. But when I think I know what I can do, because actually for me, I have some activities I can do it at home myself, and really quite enjoy lah.
Correct. So actually, okay, so you mentioned after that you want to know like what can you share with the other elderly friends that they can do, is it, to
yeah, of course, some what I'm doing, they maybe not able to do lah. Because I have my own lifestyle. Like if I can play guitar, like I play guitar almost every day lah. Then
guitar.
I cannot ask them to learn guitar. I ask them. I think I ever told them learn ukulele lor.
True. So
but still they need to buy a ukulele. They have to go to somewhere to learn. Some are free lesson, I know.
So like for you, I hear that playing a musical instrument is one way of lowering your own stress, right?
Actually, I am Christian. I worship.
I worship, also singing hymns lah, right? Singing, playing instruments, things like that. So actually having, okay, so like you say, right? Religion itself is a good tool to help people to lower their stress, right? I mean, so for Christians, I hear that you guys worship. So worship through song, playing of musical instruments, singing and things like that help to lower your stress levels, right? So similarly, I would think for the other religions, praying, especially when they have health concerns and things like that. Some of them, they go to the temple, they pray, and once they pray, they kind of feel better because they feel that it's all up to their God, or all in God's hands now, right? Something like that. So in a way, it also serves to lower their own stress levels lah. Other than that, they can also do things that they like, although it's very subjective and from person to person, because everyone has their own things that they like to do. Even sometimes for those old uncle, uncle, they always just sit at a coffee shop, do nothing, right? Just drink kopi and then just sit there only, not doing anything, but sometimes I feel that the not doing anything is a way of them lowering their own stress levels also lah. And at least I think it's at least better than them being alone at home. So at least they go out, they sit around, talk to their friends. All are very good to stress relieving activities lah. Right. So I see Daisy, she mentioned that COVID, right? COVID was the most recent stressful situation that she underwent through. And I imagine it's probably for everyone as well, especially with all the restrictions and all the limitations that we had going on. Cannot see our family, cannot travel overseas, things like that. Stuck in Singapore for 2 years, 3 years. Well, I can imagine it must have been so stressful for everyone, right? So stress is inevitable. So how do we generally react to all these stressful situations? Okay, so if you look at this picture here, right, react versus respond, right? So for reaction, especially when we are faced with stressful situations, for example, you just imagine, okay, you're driving a car, and then all of a sudden you get in an accident, right? So definitely that is a stressful situation, right? Like you bang the car, get an accident. So the reaction is normally very automatic, very instinctive, very immediate, and involves a lot of emotions, right? Like if you get an accident, you'll be like, what happened now? Why did I get an accident? What's driver don't know how to drive, things like that, very angry, right? So this is called a reaction. Okay, so when we face with stressful situations, usually the first thing that we do is react. Okay, but to respond is a different thing. Okay, so responding, okay, takes more time and effort. It's more deliberate with consideration, and of course, it creates a space between the trigger and what you do or don't do. Okay, so the difference in the process is, okay, trigger is what caused the situation. So trigger, and then we panic, and then we go. So this is for react. It is very, very straightforward, very instinctive. The moment the situation happened, we just panic, and then it all goes downhill, right? So that's one way of responding. And of course, the other way of responding is, once the trigger happens, we pause, we process, and we plan before we proceed, right? So sometimes, I mean, it's not easy, lah. I mean, to respond instead of react, because a lot of times we tend to give in to our emotions very easily. Okay, especially if under pressure situations. Okay, but so this is actually the difference between react versus response, lah. We just share with you guys. But of course, if we respond to stressful situations instead of reacting to them. But keep in mind that it's not easy. But the next time you are faced with a stressful situations, maybe we can try to. Although it's counterproductive sometimes to tell a stressed person to calm down, but keeping this in mind, the next time you are stressed, you just have to remember to calm down first, and then you think it through, and then try to see from another point of view. Okay, if possible, I know it's not easy, but if possible, we try to do that. Okay.
If you don't mind, I say because I'm quite interested in this topic about stress. Take a deep breath.
Take deep breath.
For a while, even few seconds also good.
Correct. So Christina shared a very good tip, like taking deep breaths. Right? So that is actually one of the techniques that we can use, right, to immediately give us some time to pause, give us some time to think things through before we say things. Because sometimes, a lot of times, like especially when you're maybe family quarrel or what, like you're talking to your husband, or you're talking to your child, your children or whatnot, then sometimes talking, then become very heated, become argument, right? So sometimes when we become very triggered, very angry, if we don't pause and think things through first, right? There is a tendency that we might say things that we don't mean, but the moment these words are said out, right, then it will hurt the other person, and then to take them back later on, is still very difficult, So that's why we try to pause, and then we think things through first before we give a response, right? So what Christina mentioned is good. Every time we suddenly feel a surge of anger, right, we pause and we take a deep breath, or we can turn away for a while, count 1 to 3 before we turn back and respond, So all this will help us to maintain our composure and not let it snowball into something that is too big to contain. Okay, thanks Christina for sharing.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So how to identify our various signs of stress, right? So stress comes in many forms, like emotions, cognitive and physical. Okay. So when you're stressed, your emotions will likely be, you find yourself being more easily irritated, and you lose your temper easily. Okay. You feel excessive guilt. You can also be feeling depression and anxiety, as well as any apathy and numbness. or like you just basically your stress could be so high that you don't feel anything anymore. You just say like, I can't be bothered with it anymore and I don't want to care about it. Okay, right? You just basically think it's too much and then you just leave it aside. So the second one would be cognitive stress. Okay, so cognitive signs would be poor decision making. Okay, so you can find you just be like, you find yourself making more rash decisions rather than calculated ones. Okay, just even though the decision you make might harm yourself, harm others, or whatnot, right? When you are stressed, you tend to make the worst decisions that you never knew you could. Okay, and of course you will also find yourself being unable to concentrate. Okay, because so many things are weighing on your mind, you cannot think clearly and you cannot think through, think properly. So therefore you're unable to focus. Okay, physically you will find yourself feeling high levels of fatigue and exhaustion. Okay, you might find yourself even losing weight because you have no appetite to eat, because having high stress levels will affect your own appetite. Okay, or you might even go the other extreme and overeat. Okay, so you just find yourself either losing a lot of weight or gaining a lot of weight at the unhealthy levels. Okay, then also because like what is mentioned here, right? Gain without changes to diet. Okay, so the significance for this is that people who are stressed tend to gain weight easily or easier, because the body recognizes that the stress is there. So whenever the body is in this stress mode, right, the body biologically, the body will tune itself to conserve and retain fat easier, because the body recognizes that you probably need the fat somewhere along the way to to use. So the metabolism decreases, and therefore the amount of fat that you retain, even though you eat, okay, let's say you eat one plate of chicken rice, if you're not stressed, you'll burn the chicken rice naturally lah. But if you are stressed, then your body will retain most of the fat that you obtain from eating this chicken rice and conserve it within your own body. Okay, so that's why you tend to gain weight more easily if you are stressed. Okay, then you will have muscle aches and pain as well, especially because especially around the shoulder, that's why people go for massages, right? You'll find that the back of your neck or maybe your shoulders, because depending on what stress it is, if it's work related stress, I'm sure okay, for me, I also have. So a lot of times I tend to hunch my shoulders, bend down looking at a laptop and things like that. So all these things, the muscle is very tense, and then of course it will cause a lot of muscle aches and pain around those regions. It can also cause headaches as well. Okay, stress-induced headaches, you find that these headaches usually come in the front portion here, and insomnia, right? Because too many things weighing on your mind, you find yourself being unable to go to sleep easily. Okay. So far all good, Okay. Okay, so after knowing the signs of stress in whether is it emotional, physiological, or cognitive, we look at the impacts of prolonged stress. Okay, so prolonged stress has multiple. We all know that prolonged stress, like chronic stress, is actually very, very bad. Okay, can lead to mental health problems. Okay, such as depression and anxiety. Okay, and all these problems not only affect us, but it can overflow to affect our own family members, our friends, our colleagues as well. Okay, and physical health. Okay, in terms of physical health, prolonged stress will affect us in terms of high blood pressure, stroke, okay, heart attack, or it might for some people it might even cause like skin problems, like hives and things like that. Okay, so you see, last time you watch TV, right? Like last time you watch the 双天至尊, right? The casino show, then towards the end, the person come out one full house or one blackjack, then the person lose, right? The person lose, like, suddenly high blood pressure, then so all these are like super peak of stress. So it can cause things like stroke and heart attack, right? Okay, so all this, you all should be quite familiar also lah. And of course, emotional health. Okay, it can cause apathy, anger, as well as jealousy. Okay, so all these are due to the effects of prolonged stress. So, however, if you already have a health condition to begin with, then chronic stress can make it even worse lah. Okay. Okay, so how do we manage stress? Okay, so types of okay, so stress is everywhere, right? Like no matter who you are, when we are, what we are doing, there's always stress every day of our life. So how do we manage this stress, right? So being able to keep it under appropriate levels will help us to get by every day, feeling a little bit better. Okay, so different types of self-care will involve physical, emotional, and social. Okay, so I'll just go further into that. Okay, so for physical healthcare, we find that sleep is actually very essential for health and to reduce our own stress levels. Okay, because if you find that you don't get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a day, for the typical adult, 7 to 8 hours. For me, if I get like maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, well, I find that the next day I wake up feeling very cranky, feeling very hot-tempered, and cannot focus. Okay, so this is the reason why sleep is so important, because sleep, the functions of sleep helps us to, like, clean the brain of toxins, restore our own physical body, information processing and memorization, regulates our mood. Okay, that's the most important one for me. Like, I really need my hours of sleep, otherwise my mood will be very bad, and strengthens our immune system as well. So if you get enough adequate sleep every day, right, you'll find that your health will be in generally better lah. Okay. So second one for physical would be to eat a balanced meal. Okay, this one we all know, right? Because nowadays we all about healthy eating. Okay, so you can use the My Healthy Plate ratio, which is the quarter half. Okay, so we're looking at quarter plate whole grains. Okay, which is like rice. If can, you can eat those mixed grains. Okay, brown rice. 1/4 protein, which is chicken, fish, things like that, tofu. Then half plate of fruits and vegetables. Okay, and of course to also eat regularly and don't skip meals. Okay, so we are what we eat, and of course if you eat healthy, you also lower the risk of stroke, and then high blood pressure. Then of course also lower your own stress levels lah. Okay, then of course to also opt for nutrient dense snacks. If you have to eat a snack, try to avoid those high calorie snacks like potato chips and things like that. Although I think usually older people, they won't eat all these things one. Potato chips only for people like us lah. So consume a variety of food if you can, healthy foods. Okay, use healthier cooking methods and oils. And of course, to always drink more water, especially in today's weather, which is very, very hot. Okay, we don't want to be at the risk of dehydration. Okay, so when we go out to buy certain foods, we can also look at the foods with healthier food symbols. Okay, higher in whole grains, lower in calories, and lower in calories and higher in whole grain. Okay, so basically, if you can, you just buy food with the healthier choice symbol lah. Okay. Okay, so this is when you go out and eat hawker, like, okay, so we don't want to always, sometimes we lazy, don't want to cook at home, right? So sometimes we go out and eat our nice kopitiam food court food lah. Okay, so when you order like your cai peng, okay, your economy rice, you can order the more likely stir-fried lean meat and vegetables. Try to add little or no gravy if possible, and avoid the fatty portions. So we all like to eat curry chicken and things like that. So if possible, the little things that we do matters. If you eat chicken, if you remove the skin, you just eat the meat. You will pretty much be removing quite a significant amount of the calories already. So these are the things that these are the choices and the options that we can take even when we eat outside, to make our food a little more healthy lah, okay. So like for example, we eat prawn noodle soup, right? The soup very shiok, every time we finish eating the noodles, we want to makes us want to finish the soup as well. So for this, we can drink a bit, but try not to drink the whole bowl, because it's very salty. And of course, you can also ask for the thicker white noodles to replace the yellow noodles, because yellow noodles in general have higher carbohydrates. Okay. Okay, so that's then the third one would be for exercise. Okay, so for physical healthcare, exercise is also another thing. It improves your mood. Okay, then if you're active, if you are able to do so, you can walk. You can try walking for 30 minutes a day. Okay, you'll find that you don't have to walk really fast. You just have to walk. Just walk at your own leisure pace. By doing so, you'll find that it can improve your mood quite a bit, and then increase your metabolism also. So various stress relieving methods that we can try are practicing deep breathing techniques. If you do yoga, meditation, or tai chi chuan, right, also can. Or you just simply engage in your own favorite and enjoyable activities, regardless of what they are. As long as it's something that you enjoy and it's healthy, then by all means just do it, because it helps keep your stress levels in check. Okay. Okay, so for emotional healthcare, we want to be able to reflect and be organized. Okay, so creating a habit of becoming aware of yourself, your own feelings, and how your attention shifts help us in regulating our thoughts and actions to avoid burnout. So for me, I know that if I don't get enough sleep, I will become very, very cranky the next day. So knowing this in mind, I will always make sure that I go to sleep by 11 p.m. so that I get enough rest, and then I wake up the next day in a good mood, right? So knowing your own habits and knowing your own body, and how you react to certain things, right, will help you to keep your stress levels in check as well. Okay, so some reasons to reflect upon yourself will be to take a break. Okay, to evaluate our own mistakes. Okay, like for example, if the previous time we got in an argument with your spouse or your children, right, then we can reflect and think about what actually caused the argument. Was it because of a big issue, or was it actually because it's just a tiny issue, but because my mood wasn't good at that point in time, then I got into this argument, right? So all these things are good to know. Then of course it also allows us to focus on what is important. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask for help, especially from your own family members, because we are all supporting each other lah. Okay. Sometimes there are certain social interactions that we do not like. So but sometimes we feel pressured to have to attend all these social events. So if you do not enjoy the event, just simply say no gracefully. Right, you can just go ahead to turn it down. You don't have to go through with it just because it is a formality, or it is a norm, or just because everyone is doing. Because there's no point in going through with it if you are feeling stressed for the whole process, right? And then always choose to focus on what is within your control. Okay, because a lot of times we feel stressed and helpless, because we always focus on what we cannot do or what we think we cannot do. Like when we have a problem, then we say, "Aya, abes lah, I cannot lah, I know I cannot." But we forget that actually we can do many things by ourselves as well. So these are the things that we should be focusing on instead. Okay, and we should always look for the good in others and ourselves as well. Okay, know that you have what it takes to do what is needed. Okay, journaling. Okay, you can also try to write a journal. Okay, you're never too old to write a journal. I mean, one might think that writing these kind of things are for younger people or what, but journaling is not age restricted lah. So regardless of the age you are, you can also maybe before you sleep, maybe you just write down, okay, today I was feeling happy because I managed to do this, or today I realized that I was feeling a bit agitated because I observed this. Okay, so just write down. Sometimes just the process of writing is also a stress relieving action as well. Okay. Okay, so of course, if you have the habit, or if you don't mind, you like engaging in such things, you can also practice mindfulness, meditation, which is silence and deep breathing exercises. So maybe before you sleep, you can just do this. Perhaps it might help you sleep better. It works for some people. Okay. Okay, then of course creativity. Okay, do an activity that brings you joy. Okay, you can, if you want, you can go to the CC, look at the number of the courses that they have. If anything interests you, just go ahead and sign up. Okay, listening to music, reading, art, and of course, to always laugh every day if possible. Okay, look for humor in your everyday life or watch a funny video. You know, nowadays YouTube, a lot of videos, cat videos, whatever video, you know, I'm sure you can find something that you enjoy watching, right? Okay, and of course, lastly, for social health, social self-care, spend time with your loved ones who can support and encourage you. Okay, because no man is an island. We always need to surround ourselves with positive people who can provide us assistance when needed, right? And of course, if they do need our help as well, we should also be inclined to offer them the support that they need. Okay, join support groups as well. Okay, if you know, because you are never alone with this, with that particular problem. If you have this problem, there will definitely be other people with the same problem, right? So it always doesn't hurt to find peers with similar experiences so that we can seek advice from each other and find comfort, you know, in a group itself. Okay, so what other strategies would you suggest and how does it benefit you? Okay, so this is the question that you can think about. Okay. Okay, I think I got one video here. Okay, just let you all watch this video. I should be able to share the sound. Okay, if no sound, you let me know. Got sound?
No.
No sound. Okay, okay. Got sound, right?
It's a very encouraging compliment.
Okay, I start from the beginning. Okay.
People would raise their eyebrows to say that, oh, you're 55, you look 35. It's a very encouraging compliment. It helped cemented my thinking I'm on the right track.
My secret to stay young is we don't worry too much, especially people's problem or your own problem. Just put one side, and then must have enough sleep. That's the most important. Then you won't grow old so fast.
In life, we have to think positive. Because if you don't think positive, then straight away you defeat yourself.
After you push the weight up, you feel a sense of accomplishment, stress release, also clears your mind, and it gives you a sense of calmness and peace and inner confidence.
You have to dress up, cosplay perfectly, and then people look at you, say that, wow, this auntie so old, do until so well. And it's because I saw myself, and then I also feel happy.
First win normally is very hard, struggle ahead. But if you continue to overcome the first win, the second win come in, you are running at the same pace. Sometimes you see somebody, you tell yourself, I want to overtake the fellow there. You overtake a person, you feel satisfied.
To me, bodybuilding should be a way towards good health and fitness. You must feel good and feel healthy from the inside, and then you express on the outside.
My life, I do cosplay, I think changed a lot because got something to do, and I feel so happy, so active. Yeah.
Running keep me active, at the same time make me feel positive.
Okay, so that was the video. Okay, wait. Okay, so do you have any questions? Okay, no questions at all. Okay, huh? No stress, right? Okay, I see one. Okay. Okay, housing. Okay, so in that case, don't worry. If you have any questions later on that you think about later, I will show you some phone numbers that you can contact. Okay. But okay, so I'll just move on to this. So for us, shall we take a photo together? Okay. Okay, so if you can just switch on your video. Okay, if you don't have video, it's okay. Those who have video, we'd like to see our faces together. Housing, you let me know when it's done, okay?
All right, are you able to stop sharing?
Oh, stop sharing. Okay, can.
All right, give me a moment here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Done already, huh? Okay,
Yep.
okay. So I just share again. Okay, thank you all for the photo. Okay. Okay, so like I mentioned, so if you have any questions whatsoever, right, you can contact my colleagues, Housing, as well as Ellen, okay, at these numbers. Okay, we are from the NTUC Health Quest team. So we work mainly with mental health outreach and mental health awareness lah. Okay. Okay, so yeah, thank you all. Vardin must got anything to put in? Do you have any QR code to scan or anything?
Thank you lah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Tan. 好不好？ Okay, was it okay?
是啊，谢谢你，谢谢。
谢谢你啊。
OK，拜拜。Yeah。
OK。
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you for being so proactive. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I talk good team. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I feel happy to
Thank you.
attend the talk.
Thank you,
Bye.
Peggy. Thank you. 谢谢你们。
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.